Hey, this is Rocket Brain Surgeon. We're going to take a look at a couple games in the FCM. I am credit poor. I made a couple terrible purchases, and in conjunction with consumables or equipment sales, I am broke as a joke. So we need to be in the FCM. This is a Tier 8 French quote-unquote heavy tank. It's characterized by awesome mobility, a really great gun, and terrible armor and survivability. The thing is huge. This is one of the largest tanks in the game. Or at least it sure feels like it when you're trying to hide that darn thing behind some cover. Despite having the name of heavy, it should be played closer to the medium style of tank. You can see there's an E75 in front of me and a KV5 on the left of me, and notice how big I am in relation to those guys. Failed track shot on the T-54. That's going to happen from time to time. We are on standard mode of Red Shire, the newly reworked Red Shire. And I'm getting in the middle, trying to get some spots, trying to get some angles on the opponents. Right now I'm bullying a Leo, using that auto aim because I know that my shell, wherever it penetrates him, even if the auto aim is aiming into his mantlet, if the shell connects with him, then it's going to go through. An Object 704 pops up on radar in the distance without me taking damage. That's always good. Generally, I find out about the big tank destroyers when they blast me for half my HP. So it'll be difficult to push into that 704. He is actually still kind of in the open, so I'm going to let some shots fly. He wasn't on the map, it was a blind shot, but just because he's not on the map lit up doesn't mean he's not there. It means we just can't see him. So if you see me put a couple blind shots in crazy places, that's because that was the last place I saw the tank. And the FCM has just a ton of ammo. You just will not go through all of that. So, why not? The new version of Red Shire greatly favors tanks with very tough turrets, like the T-29. KV5 is a pretty tough turret, too. But the FCM does not have a tough turret. It has enough gun depression to make it work, but when you poke the turret over, they're just going to go right through it. The old version of Red Shire was a little better for the FCM with the rolling hills and the long distances. The base view range on the FCM is 400, and with optics, which I highly recommend, made it really good for that type of gameplay. On this version of Red Shire, you have a lot of engagements like the one I'm currently involved with that Super Pershing and T-54, where both tanks kind of expose themselves and trade shots. The FCM is not good at that type of game. And the reason why Red Shire kind of turned into a peekaboo map from a vision range map is all the hills were made steeper. And so you are pretty much forced to go around the hill. Playing on top of the hill is difficult because the second you shoot or the second you're spotted, then you're just going to die with getting shot from all sides. So you want to play kind of around the sides of the hills and not so much above the hills, and it's tank dependent, of course. There's an E75 that has kind of migrated into our backfield, and I need to go take him out. Having an E75 shoot at the back of me is rough times because he will pen, and with the high damage per minute of the E75, he will make quick work of me. Some of the other tanks on the field could ignore him back there, or relatively ignore him, like the KV5. Now, we're up 8-4. And the T-54 is playing with the E-75, our KV-5, and T-29, so he should die. So this should go up 9-4 pretty quickly. Why would I show this game? Well, because there's going to be some twists and turns in it. Sometimes bringing home the win is just a little more tricky than you think. Right now, our numerical superiority is actually present on the east side of the map. So if you look at the mini-map, you can see that's where we won. We're actually at a severe detriment in the middle. So it is 9-4, and it looks pretty good on paper, but when you look at the mini-map where the fighting is happening, we are extremely outnumbered. A 1390 comes in and starts annihilating tanks. My platoon mate is one of them, and this situation looks less good than it should. Reevaluating the situation, I want to get one more shot off on the Foch and hopefully kill him. I actually missed the shot. There's the Foch and the Object 704 in front of me. Both of those tanks have more armor and more alpha. I cannot trade hits with them. 1390 pops out. I get a nice shot into him that sets him on fire. He stops the fire before he burns to death. But right now I have to wait for my team. You can see on the minimap my team is slowly making their way up. I do want to keep the enemy lit, however, because your team will naturally gravitate towards the red dots. If they don't have red dots on the screen, they're going to be paralyzed with, well, where are the enemies? So I'm trying to flank right now and trying to get some easy spots without taking any damage. The score is 9-8, however we have an AFK, so this is an even game. My teammate has made their way over to the engagement, and I am starting to flank the enemy. The Object 704 is not pointing towards me, so I'm using that auto-aim again, because anywhere that the shell should hit on the rear of the tank, it should penetrate. I actually bounced one off of him. I make up for that travesty by getting a nice snapshot on the 1390. If he was able to flank me, I would just get destroyed by him as I couldn't see him nor catch him. So I know the KV-4 and the KV-1S are in that A1, A2 area. That means the Tiger and the 704 in front of me are completely naked, and I just move out to flank them. This is the dream scenario. Actually, the dream scenario would not include me bouncing an auto-aim shot off of the back of the Tiger 1, but whatever. So I do take a little more damage here than I should have because I was a little bit careless. I rushed it a bit. However, both the 704 and the Tiger 1 are going to die, and after that, we got no problems. Next up, we are on Cliff. I am not heading to the E5, E6 areas because my turret is pretty weak. I won't be able to bounce any shots from there. I like being around this area because I can pop out of these locations and shoot the enemy from unknown angles. The downside is that other people can pop out and shoot me from unknown angles, and if you look at the minimap, I have a whole bunch of people coming. So I cannot escape to the E5, E6 spot. I will be easily killed before I get there, so I have to somehow find a way to survive with this stupid little paper tank artillery shooting me. Thank God he missed. But if they want to just YOLO me, that's going to work. So I tried to hide as much of this gigantic tank as I can by hugging this stupid hill. There's a little bit of rock outcroppings that, I don't know, they protect my left track maybe. Who knows? I do get an IS-3 that comes over here. That's a pretty lucky break for me. He can take the heat off. He's a much harder target, and he's actually just driving forward at them. So I get saved there. Thank you, random IS-3. So things have settled down, and I'm going to start looking for shots where I can get them. I don't really want to turn my back on the IS-3 in front of me. He also has a pile of other guys. I have to make sure that they know I'm here because otherwise they will just YOLO the IS-3 and get him killed. Sometimes the presence of just someone else being around is going to be pretty helpful. They don't look like they're going to YOLO them, so I'm going to take a little bit of time out and try and shoot this easy 8. But I'm still looking at the mini-map, and I'm still making sure if they advance too far on him, then I'm going to have to go and help him out. Sitting near this hill gives me protection from artillery, however it opens me to fire from the donut, so I'm not quite protected here, especially with the tanks as huge as the FCM. I'm taking an annoying amount of damage from that Easy 8, but that's kind of the life of an FCM driver. You're just going to have to deal with that. With the Easy 8, for the most part, almost dead. I need to switch my attention back to the IS-3. I look in the minimap like, whoops, they are kind of getting salty over here. They know that I've left, so I need to hightail it back. The IS-3 gets a nice ammo rack on the T-44, which evens things out pretty quickly. So we have a local superiority at this point. It's the IS-3 and myself against a lone IS, so we can be more aggressive and we can push them. He backs up a little too far for me. I really want to go and one-shot him, however, I am a one-shot myself to a lot of different tanks, so I actually don't take the risk, and there's an IS-3 kind of sitting behind him that I didn't really know about. If I had 600 HP, I'd probably take that risk, but being a one-shot as I am, it's just not going to happen for me. So I pop out where they don't expect me again, and I'm able to get side shots on KV4. The KV4 is a very tough target frontally and does very well in the donut because that turret is freaking hard. He actually does not have the upgraded turret, which makes it a little bit better for us, but he is not an auto damage for sure. When pulling out of a peekaboom, you can definitely work the angles, but don't rely on that. The FCM is actually a tougher target than you might expect, especially with reverse angling, but it's preferable to use that speed armor more or less. Reverse acceleration is great on this tank, so the snapshot capability is awesome, so I pull out, aim as fast as possible, back in before they can really turn their turret around onto me. Red Shire was a lot of the same too, where I wasn't looking for hull down situations in these spots. I was looking to pop out at angles where they weren't going to see me. I wasn't relying on the camo or the vision system that much because this tank is massive and has no camo at all. I just want to be where they don't expect me. So my teammate in the JT-88, he has to make his way over to that northeast corner because these two T-29s are breaking through. A T-71 is YOLOing towards our base that I need to deal with. So even though the game is technically even at 9-9, we have different local superiorities. The enemy is pushing around that northeast corner. However, we do own the donut. We are able to control the middle of the map, and that gives us a lot of mobility. And I'm going to use this mobility to get different angles on the T-29. Again, I don't want to fight face-to-face in the FCM. That is going to be horrible, especially against a tank like the T-29, where when he's angled, he's capable of bouncing shots off his hull, and that ever so tough turret, that could be a real problem. But from the side, these tanks ain't no thing. And so that's where I need to move. I want to be not seen, and I want to fight them where their armor is weakest, and they cannot turn their turret onto me. So I'm going to bounce a few shots off of the side of his turret, because apparently the side of a T-29's turret is ridiculously strong. The end result of this game, my platoon mate and I racked up over 4,000 damage apiece. The IS-3 that protected me earlier got about 3,000, and the rest of our team pretty much just soaked up bullets. Now we are moving on to Hemelsdorf. This is a map where you have to fight face-to-face, right? Well, not exactly. I can pop up in a lot of crazy different locations, again, using that mobility. I'm angling, we're going to the top of the hill, and I kind of want to reverse angle around it and try to hit these guys as they're coming up. But I'm going to see one thing. Oh god, there's like 6 of them and 2 of us. And we are screwed. There's no glory in just straight up dying. I just need to turn tail and run. I can't even pretend like I'm going to reverse out of this and fight my way out. Nope. I messaged the T-44, run. Just run. We have to get out of here. We don't do any good to anyone dead. Now, that does give them the advantage of being on the hill, so they can come down, they can flank, they can sit on the hill and snipe from the hill. But that's better than just dropping both the T-44 and I for nothing. I doubt we'd even be able to kill an enemy tank. So, yeah, they have kind of a superiority because they own that nice place to shoot from. But we also are able to shift the lines of engagement. So they're actually coming down the hill, and we are repositioning to fight them as they come down the hill. The game has become very fluid. It's not a face-to-face engagement if you don't make it one. So the T-44 and I are repositioned in actually a really nice spot. They only have 2 Tier 7 tanks in front of us, so they have no legitimate reason to push. That would just be suicide for them. So we've stopped them from flanking our main force, and we can pop out, shoot their hatches, and so forth. The VK actually decides to head back up the hill. He's really not interested in fighting with us, so I take this opportunity. I'm actually going to go flank the IS around these buildings. There are lots of pings around the map. You can look at the minimap and see that everything's just gone crazy. Suddenly a wild IS appears. Thank God he misses on the snapshot, or I don't know if that was lag or what. but that could have been a very dicey situation. The T-44 is making his way around the IS. He's been very good at recognizing when he needs to push and when he needs to retreat. So now we're going to clean up the remaining IS, and then I can turn my attention elsewhere. So I've been hinting throughout these 3 games that what I'm looking at is local superiority. When you have a numbers advantage, or maybe a tier advantage, or a tank type advantage, mobility advantage, whatever, you have to use that where you are. And I've used it to a couple of different effects in each game. Now the local superiority has changed. Yeah, we're up 7-4, but if you look at the minimap, you can see that a bunch of our tanks are just not in the correct places. And so we have to reshift our forces to make sure that we have the right amount of force in the right spot. And there were a bunch of times where I did not have that local superiority, like on the hill. I just had to retreat. That's all we could do. Or on Red Shire, I had to wait until my team caught up. So the type of tactics that you use in your games can often be decided by the number of tanks you have around or the type of tanks that you have around. For example, this is an end game and I'm in a very mobile tank and I've conserved my hit points. I can be very aggressive. This guy better get off the tracks because the train is coming through. Hope you enjoyed. Happy hunting.